right, so I am actually not saying, hey, babe, today. I'm instead, and you hear that voice. If you hear that voice, you know that that is not Kent Kilco. So we actually have a guest today on the podcast.
Yes.
So, guys, for those of you that are not familiar, this is Ashley. Ashley is Jackson's girlfriend. I know you have heard of us speak about her on the podcast. Kent has just had a really busy couple of weeks. I know, first of all, we missed the podcast last week. Like, it just things were too busy. It was too hectic. I couldn't seem to find the energy or the want to make him stay up late and do this, so we kind of skipped last week. But I didn't want to skip 2 weeks because I'd heard from several of you. They're like, hello, like, where's our podcast? And I'm like, So this week, because Kent is still very busy, it's hard to kind of nail him down and make this happen this week. Ashley agreed to come onto the podcast and be my special guest today. So everybody, please, I hope you enjoy listening. I'm sure you will. We're going to talk about, actually, I haven't told Ashley what we're going to talk about, so I'm kind of ambushing her here a little bit. So actually, you told me, you said you had one requirement, I guess, technically. Tell them what the requirement was for you to come on.
That it stayed PG.
So what does PG mean? What does that mean? I made some assumptions on what it meant. Was that correct?
Yeah, your assumptions were right.
Do you not even want to say the words? Is that,
no.
Okay, so what
Not embarrassed.
Then what is it?
I don't really care about the cussing part.
Uh-huh.
I try not to do that.
You do try not to do that. You do a good job at that.
Not always. To be a good representation, I guess, of a Christian.
Okay.
But I don't really talk about sexual things.
Okay, so she said basically, in the text, I'm like, hey, can you do this? And she's like, well, if you can keep it PG. And I'm like, PG? What does that mean? And there was like crickets, no response. And so I was like, okay,
I don't know.
LOL. I'm like, does that mean no cussing and don't talk about sex? And she's like, yes.
Pretty much.
Kent's like, ding, ding, ding. That's it in our group text. And so I'm like, okay, well, so I'm going to try really hard not to cuss. Which I'm trying to stop saying the F word anyway. And I feel like I've actually been doing a really good job around the house. So I'm going to try to make sure I do that on the podcast too. But then talking about sex, you listen to the podcast occasionally. Right. So you do know that we talk about particular things. But
it doesn't bother me that y'all do it.
It doesn't bother you that we talk about sex. You just don't want to talk about sex.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I do not want you to talk about sex, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't want to talk about that at all. So 100% understand what you're talking about when it comes to that. So we definitely won't talk about that. So, but that really kind of answered my question, because I was like, what does that mean? Like, you don't want to talk about sex, you're uncomfortable talking about sex, or you just don't want to talk about your sex life? Like, if we were talking about the sex life of somebody else, if we were just like talking about, let's say, orgasms or something, would you talk about that?
No.
Her face, like, she's wearing a red shirt, a Georgia shirt, and her face literally, I think, might be as red as her shirt right this second.
Yeah.
So that's uncomfortable for you to talk about?
Yeah. I don't like...
Is it uncomfortable for you to talk about at all with anybody, or is it just me because of the situation? Like, you are dating my son, like, you're with him.
I just don't. Like, even like guy jokes that are sexual, I'm like, please stop. I don't know. I just don't like it in general.
Just uncomfortableness?
I guess so.
You just think it's nasty.
I don't know.
The uncomfortableness that she is like so tense right this second. Okay, so we'll move past that. Lucky for you, I don't have anything sexual to even bring up or talk about, so that is a-okay. We don't have to do that. So, but I thought, so you talk about being a good representation of a Christian. That's what you said, right? Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. It's interesting to me because I'm very much into the woo-woo. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it might be interesting for us to kind of dig a little bit into that, the differences, and kind of, what your thoughts are on me and, what I talk about and the things that, I do or whatever. So, because it is very vastly different from what you do or what you believe. And I won't say that I'm not a Christian.
Right.
Because fun fact, I've been baptized not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Back so it happened when I was young. I think for a lot of people,
me too.
They were at a retreat. It's not even a retreat. Retreat's not the right word.
Like a camp or something.
Yes, exactly. Like a church camp. And you come forward and like whatever, and you go home to your church and you end up getting baptized. And that's kind of what I did when I was young. And then when I was pregnant with Jackson, I ended up, we were going to church. Jackson's dad was with me, and he had never been baptized. And so we were both going to church that time. We were going with my dad and Lisa and everybody. And it just felt like, I had been out of the church life for a while and felt like I needed to rededicate my life. And so I actually was baptized again along with him, and he was baptized for the very first time.
Right.
So that was... so I've actually done it not just once, but twice, just in case, just in case.
Double
you never know. Things can happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's very, I started thinking about that a little bit today, kind of going into this, because I am diving. I have, it's dived, right? It's not dove. It's not technically dove. Even though dove feels right, it's not dove. I think it's dived. Dived also does not feel right, but into learning about my human design, which kind of takes me into like spirit, source, universe, different things that are not just the typical church God teaching type things. And you are very much believe in that and very strong in your faith. Jackson is as well, even though Jackson will listen to me, and I think he takes some of it in, and some of it is like a grain of salt, and what he doesn't, he just kind of lets go. It's not a big deal, because I'm not the type of person to push my beliefs on anybody.
Right.
But I very much do get excited about it, so I like to tell you guys about things. But you're very firm and solid in your beliefs, brought up in the church and whatnot. So I thought it would just be interesting. So do you remember when you came over and helped me? You know what I'm going to say? What am I going to say?
About them. No, when we made the sweaters.
Yeah. Oh,
and you brought your little book down for a spell. And I was like, I'm out. I'm gone.
So so Ashley had come over. We were making ugly Christmas sweaters, and I was doing I was having a night out in the igloo with my friend Michelle and Sydney. And I brought out my Good Witches book to do a little, because it was a full moon. It was a little full moon spell, and it was a money spell. Like, you literally put out 2 white, I think they were actually silver candles. And the spell was, you literally take a couple of dollar bills and a couple of change, and you folded a green piece of paper to like make it like an envelope. And you basically said I don't even remember what exactly it was you said something about, just as money goes, money comes, and I don't know, something along those lines. And then you just put the money in the little envelope, and you put it away, like where you don't see it again for however long, kind of forget about it or whatever. Yeah. And so that's all there was to it. But I bring this book out, and of course I'm like, Ashley, do you want to stay and do this? And she's like, no, I'm going home and get my Bible. And I was like, immediately. So did you go home and get your Bible? Did you go home and pray?
Probably prayed in the car, but prayed for you.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But no.
Well, actually, oddly enough, funny enough, however you want to take it, I did that spell on, let's just say that was like a Saturday night or something like that. And then on, I don't know, one day that week, I get a surprise in the mail envelope, and it was from Papaw, my stepdad. And which I was expecting. I knew he would send me a birthday card, and he typically always gives us $50. He gives me $50. I think Kent and Lauren and them, he gives them like 25 possibly. And you know, Jackson, he just gives whatever. So you never really know. Yeah. But he usually always gives me, I can count on my $50 from Gary out on my birthday. And I opened it up, and he had sent me a check for $500.
Holy cow.
And I immediately, I don't think I sent it. I don't know if I sent it to you. Did I send it to you? I immediately, I sent it to Michelle and Sydney. I said, you guys are going to think I'm off my rocker crazy.
Yeah.
But we did the money spell on like Saturday, Sunday, and here we are this week. I've gotten money. I don't know about y'all, but I believe I've gotten money or whatever. And so, you know, they're, of course, they both are like, you know, we'll do it. We kind of think you're crazy, but we'll buy into the crazy and do the stuff with you. Like they're not super into any of that kind of stuff, but they appease me.
Right.
Basically. But yeah, no, Gary, I was like, I even called him on the phone. I'm like, hey, like, I got your birthday card from.
Did you put an extra zero
right,
on
did
there?
You? I mean, I looked at the line, like what he wrote out. I'm like, does it not match? Is he having like an Alzheimer moment? Like what happened? And he's like, no, I just, you know, had a little bit extra and I just wanted, you know, to send you something. I was like, thank you. And now that I'm thinking about it, what did I do with that money?
Oh, no.
I think I paid bills with it, so I feel like I need to go do something for myself.
Yeah.
But anyway, so me doing those kind of things, does that make you uncomfortable?
I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I just am very big on, like, witchcraft is not for me. Mm-hmm. And just because it's for you doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. But with my beliefs, I just think it's, like, no-go. That and, like, Ouija boards, like, I don't even want to
I don't
test that.
No, I don't F with Ouija boards. Not since I was in high school at some point. Probably middle school, actually. Those were freaky. And I never had any kind of experience with them because you could always tell, like, somebody is driving force behind this thing. Right. But as I got older, I'm like, no way, no thank you, not interested.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily with that stuff know that I really believe in ghosts and stuff. I don't really know. I hopefully will never encounter anything like that, but I know that the devil is real, and I'm not playing with him.
But isn't that so interesting? Don't you? So I believe that absolutely there are spirit, whether you want to call them spirits, ghosts, whatever. Right. I feel like there has to be.
Yeah.
Which is, I struggle. So I think where I began to question all this is because Gary's beliefs are different than what I was brought up and raised with. And because his beliefs are different than my beliefs, it really opened up these other things. I'm like, well, then I have questions about this and I have questions about that.
Yeah.
And, even so much as like when my mom died, you know, my belief, I was raised Baptist. So I was raised, you know, you die, your soul goes to heaven, you know, and
you're there
until, you know, they come back to heaven on earth kind of thing. And, but Gary's beliefs is that your soul stays with your body.
And that you're like asleep.
You're just like there in the ground dead until
you rise.
God comes back. Yeah. And it's only like a certain amount of people. Like he's not Jewish. He's not Mormon.
It's more like Pentecostal. But they're non-denominational, I think.
It's the like, Church of God. Yeah. And so it's
I think it's more so like closer to Pentecostal.
Yeah, it's very different. And so those two beliefs have me, you know, questioning. And so it's very interesting. It's just all very interesting.
I would say that I'm the same way because I was raised on Southern Baptist where obviously same thing as you. And then I started going to a Pentecostal church back in 2021 with their young adult stuff. And they kind of, I think everyone interprets the Bible differently. I don't think it's meant to be that way, but as humans, we're all going to, like, interpret things different ways and trying to say, like, oh, no, this person's wrong. This is really what it says. So I think, realistically, you all, like, everyone ends up the same way, heaven on earth. we don't really know exactly what happens when we die.
Right.
But I think the important part is to realize that we all end up on heaven on earth.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue I have with church as a whole, and that's why I say I am spiritual. I may not necessarily believe all the churchy things that people at church tell me to necessarily believe, because everybody does interpret. I mean, literally, like, it's one Bible, but everybody has a different version of the events that kind of happen.
Yeah, that's why they say it's, like, really important to read the Bible yourself, which I haven't even fully read the Bible. It's really hard to. I've been trying to, but it's really hard, and I'm not a reader. That's not what God put me on this earth to do. So I'm like, oh, it's really hard. So I've been listening to, like, this app that goes through the Bible, so I listen to it. But yeah, I think it's just something you have to kind of do for yourself. You can't completely just trust what these pastors are telling us.
No. And but you know, I think I was probably moving into my 40s before I started to have those real questions and thoughts and beliefs and concerns about any of that, and which opened me up to these other things, these other possibilities. So I think it's all, I geek out on all of that. It's super, but I don't like to have debates about it, especially with, like, Jackson, because Jackson he doesn't really like to have debates. He really wants to get you to agree that he is correct. And so I really feel like he missed out on being a lawyer. He was supposed to, I think, probably be a lawyer.
When we debate, it always, I feel like, turns into an argument on my side, because I get so frustrated. I'm like, okay, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what, like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very, which, you know, he and I, obviously, we butt heads a lot in things that, partly because we are very similar, but partly because Kent says we're both the same. We both you have to feel the way that we feel. You have to believe what we believe, and maybe that's correct. I don't know, but I try not to have debates with him on stuff like that. But so anyway, I think it's really interesting. So it made me, when I started thinking about you coming on the podcast and talking about a little bit about this stuff, I was thinking, okay, so let's say, you know, 5 years down the road, you and Jackson are married and you're thinking about kids, or maybe you've had a kid, and which, to be fair, like, everybody knows, like, I'm not ready for that right now. Like, I'm not ready. Now, it's not up to me, obviously. Right. Not up to me at all, but this Gigi is not ready to be
My
Gigi.
sister just had a kid, and that's enough for me. My parents are happy. They're first-time grandparents, so that's good for us right now.
Do you get to see him much? Mm-hmm. He is adorable.
Yeah, he's sweet.
I love his name, too.
Yeah, little Bo.
Bo. I adore the name Bo.
Yeah.
I think that's the cutest.
When she first told me, I was like,
oh, I love it.
But then I was like, oh, yeah, it fits him.
Yeah.
It fits them very well, too, because they're very, like, country kind of people.
How old is he already?
I think he'll be sometime this week, 2 months.
2 months already? Yeah, that's crazy.
He's chunky too.
It goes so fast.
Yeah.
And so how's she doing? How's she going?
Good.
Yeah. Just, did it seem to come naturally to her? Did she just, like, pick it up? Because a lot of people, I think a lot of pregnant women are worried about that. They're like, I do not have a maternal instinct.
She, love her to death, but she is, like, not immature, but it really, you can tell that it made her into, like, a mature motherly person, like, very quickly, like, because she whines about a lot, and we were like, oh boy. Like, I thought she would be terrible throughout her pregnancy too, and I mean, she really wasn't bad. I thought she did pretty well through it, considering what you're going through, but my dad would always be like, oh, you're fine. But I'm like, you're a man.
Right.
You don't know.
Exactly. You've not pushed a 8-pound baby out your hoo-ha.
I feel like she just matured, like, overnight, which I'm sure everyone does. You know, it's just like something clicked.
You go from that, you're so self-centered, to now you don't get to be self-centered anymore.
And she's not nervous with them at all. Like, she does so well with them. Like,
It's so crazy. I was telling Kent the other day, like, I remember when I had Jackson, my mom specifically being, like, very nervous around him to begin with when he was a newborn. Like, oh, you know, just nervous of holding him again and doing things for him and kind of being afraid of, like, you know, am I going to break him? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you literally raised 2 kids. How is this possible? But I now, at this age, understand what she was talking about. Like, I have a little bit of like nervousness of like, I don't know that I could keep a kid. Like my friends they had like kept one of the babies overnight. And I'm like, oh my God, the thought of that. No, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. My mom
I don't know if I can.
My mom was the same way. I remember right after Taylor came home from the hospital, I think Taylor was like in the shower or something. We were over there and he needed to be changed, and my mom was like, he's so little, I don't remember how to do this.
I know.
I'm like, yeah, he's so little.
You think it's like riding a bike, and it probably does eventually come back, but dang, when you've been out of it for a long time.
It's funny, because I feel like I was more comfortable with him at first than my mom was.
Really?
Which I think I just have a very, like, caretaker mentality. Like, I think that's, like, kind of one of my good traits.
It is. You don't you stress about stupid stuff and your mind is constantly working. However, when it comes to like stressful situations, like crisis, you're like, oh, this is fine. It's no big deal. It's fine. They'll be fine.
I hope.
And you're just like even kill, no big deal.
Yeah.
I think that definitely is one of your superpowers.
Yeah. I think also me taking care of old people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just used to it. So I'm like, what's a baby?
Well, that's true. Well, yeah. So tell people what you do.
I do occupational therapy with.
Do you like it?
I do. I love it.
You do it with old people now.
Yeah.
Because you tried it with children.
I do love children too. But I was able to get a job with geriatrics. And I actually went into it wanting to work with children, wanting to do pediatric. And then one of my fieldwork rotations, I did geriatrics, and I fell in love with them.
And you have some funny stories about these old people sometimes.
Yeah, they're crazy sometimes. They're hilarious, but yeah, I love it so much because I like being the ones to be there and help them, because I'm like, if this were my mom and dad, I would want them to get the best possible treatment. Right. Like, if there's ever anything going on where they're not being taken care of how they should be, or not being changed, like we don't say diapers, we say briefs to kind of give a little. Really? Yeah. So they're not, but
a little industry talk for you there.
Yeah. So the patients are like, you mean my diaper? And I'm like, no, it's just call it a brief. It makes you not feel like a baby. But if they're not being changed, I'm like, well, I'm not just going to let you sit here in your crap. So here we go. They're like, this is not your job. I'm like, well, technically.
So are you telling me when I get to be that age, I have to wear a regular, like, I have to wear a full panty? I can't wear a thong anymore? Do they have thong depends?
Probably not. It would not work.
It probably wouldn't help out, would it? It would be bad.
No. Yeah. It would not work. But, yeah.
So that's this is why I am glad that Jackson ended up with you, because I only technically have a boy. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. Lauren is not going to take care of me. Like, Lauren is the stepdaughter, and as the stepdaughter, she gets to have a get out of jail free card. She has no requirement to take care of me, because I did not birth her. But Jackson, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm his problem. He's my only kid, basically. So I'm kind of his problem. But he's a boy, so that actually turns about it is technically my problem still. Because boys aren't taking care of their moms. They're not. He would. I don't think he would. I don't know. That would be hard. That would be really, really hard. That's got to be hard for any person to let somebody else take care of them like that. So, and it takes really special people to go in there and do that.
Well, you can get paid to be a caretaker for your parents.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. Yeah, that's true. You can.
I mean, like, if you're the one solely taking care of them and you have to quit your job, and you can get paid to do it.
I was with a friend last night who we were just talking about this, and she was saying that they just put the the dad had to finally go to like a longer longer term facility. Hey, Bubba. And but she was getting paid to take care of him or whatever. But it's a lot. That's a lot to take care of people.
Is.
I don't have that bone. I don't think is in me, which I'm very thankful that Gary was able to take care of Mom during her time, that I didn't have to, quit my job and, move to Ohio and try to help with that or whatever.
Well, I always say working in a nursing home and a short-term care facility, my parents will never go to one.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. I love where I work, but it doesn't matter where you are. I just don't trust people.
Yeah.
Where I work is a fabulous place.
Yeah.
It's just me being controlling, probably.
Well,
so that means that you and Kent will not go there.
Well, thank you. I hope we both just kill over dead and somewhere. And that's what Gary hopes too. Yeah. My stepdad. But yeah. I mean, you're always going to have a bad apple in places like that, and it's nothing against the place, but not everybody is a good person.
Yeah, and a lot of people get very burnt out, which is very understandable.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into being a caretaker, but I mean, if you signed up for it, you need to do it.
Yeah.
You're getting paid to do it. But.
So you guys heard this. It's on the podcast. It's going to live forever on YouTube also. Ashley said she would, in fact, take care of me and Kent. So Kent, thumbs up.
You're good. My mom always says, at least I know I can count on you, because I know I can't count on Taylor. Taylor would probably just send him to a nursing home.
It would definitely be tough. So where I was originally going with all of that is down the road when you and Jackson eventually have kids, how are you going to feel? Like, what if I'm like, here, Gigi has this cute little thing we're going to do, and we do like a cute little spell or something like that. How are you going to feel about that? Or is that going to be like, you tell Jackson, you're like, you need to tell your mother. No, ma'am, that's not happening.
I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to say no. I'm probably going to say, I don't care that you do it, but please don't do that with my kids.
Oh, so what if I try to teach them about like human design and stuff like that?
I don't think that would really bother me. I don't find that to be a problem. I mean, because...
Are you going to have you heard them, apparently this is a thing on TikTok, is the gentle parenting? I don't really know a whole lot about this because I'm not in that age bracket. Yeah. But I'm wondering, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't think I have the patience to be a gentle parent.
So from what I understand, gentle parenting is more I think it's like no spanking and like timeouts, or maybe it's even...
I don't want to hit my kids.
Yeah.
I don't think it did anything for me. It only made me want to, like, I don't think I've ever really... I think it was very rarely that I got spanked. And when I did, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Like, I don't think it does anything, and I think it could cause issues down the road of teaching your kids that when things are bad, you hit someone. Like, and I know that's not necessarily where it came from, but nowadays people turn things into everything.
Yeah. Jackson, he was pretty... He was fairly easygoing. I mean, around that 4 or 5 year old age, he worked my nerves for sure. He was very much pushing the authority and the boundary. But past that, he was pretty easy. And up until that, he, you have to pop the hand every once in a while of don't get like, you can't touch the stove type of thing. But he was never one to be crazy. And if when he was a toddler and falling out, I mean, you gotta let him fall out. There's not really a whole lot you can do. But it's very interesting because I think with the human design and learning about all of this stuff, that when that time comes, I think it probably would have been really helpful because it really does give you personality traits and how they best communicate and just all kinds of just details about just how they work, how their mind works, all of it, that I think makes parenting very, very interesting.
Where does the human design come from? Like, who?
So Ra Aruhu is the one who channeled the human design, but it's all based off of your birth time and where like the planets were aligned, because it kind of it kind of takes into astrology. There's something called the I Ching, which I think is probably your chakra system, which in fact is that's all science. You do have these different energy centers,
right,
within your body. So there's several different modalities that it kind of all envelops into one and kind of takes into consideration. But a lot of it just has to do with the planets, the energy in the solar system, the planets, the earth, whatever you want to call it, at your time of birth. And then it also looks at a 3-month time frame prior to birth. And that determines your personality side and your design side, which your personality side is what you tend to recognize about yourself more, where the design side is probably, it's there, but it's more subconscious. Like other people probably see those things in you. You may not see it in yourself as much. And it's just really so interesting. So when I first started learning about the human design, it was very broad, and they talk about, really what you want to get into first is your strategy and your authority. But there's 64 gates, and then you have these channels that go in between your different energy centers. And it talks about, every energy center has like what its purpose sort of is. And so like the heart center is the ego center. So it's your identity. It's that's the G center, the willpower, your heart, your emotions, things like that. And like how it possibly connects to one of your other centers, the different energies you have there. And it talks about, is it an individual type of energy? Is it a tribal energy where you're trying to take care of like your tribe, or is it like a collective energy where you're taking care of everybody in the world? It's so there's so much to it, and I've only scratched the surface, but it's so very interesting, and it helps me because subconsciously it's hard for me sometimes to identify the things in myself. So I try to I look at Jackson's chart a lot to try to see, where I can't understand it in myself, can I understand those things in them that then sometimes can help me understand it in myself possibly. But I am so like all into it, but that's me as a manifester. I tend to find one thing, I get all into it, I learn all about it, and then I can either teach it to other people, or share it with people that I need to when I need to, but then sometimes I just move on to the next thing.
Is Jackson a manifester?
No, Jackson is a projector, which is very interesting because projectors, there's so many different types of combinations, like of things that they can have lit up or not lit up, and defined or not defined. And he and Lauren are both projectors. They're both actually 5/1 projectors, but they're so vastly different in what their different gifts are and their gates and channels that are lit up in them, that it's very interesting. But what they do have that's very similar is both of them do not have many gates that are defined. And when you have or energy centers that are defined, and what that says for both of them, and projectors typically in general, is that projectors are meant to work in spurts. They are meant to work 2 or 3 hours, and they get a lot done, and they're very focused, and then they take a break, and they need to rest, and they need to recuperate, and then they can go back and they can work again in spurts. And so like in society, it's not typical because they want you to work 9 to 5, right? Where and Jackson has always been so against that. Even the like from as long as I can remember, he has never said that I can remember said, I want to be a dentist, or I want to be an astronaut, or I want to, none of these things. He has never ever said that. And even though, and what he's doing now, he's doing it mostly because he likes the fact that he can make his own schedule, that he doesn't have to go in when somebody tells him to go in and work for 8 hours straight. He can work for 2 or 3 hours, then he will go to the gym, and then he'll go back and meet customers again and work for 2 or 3 hours again. And it's different every day for him. And that's actually how he is designed to work. Yeah. And that's how Lauren is designed to work as well. I'm pretty sure I looked yours up, and I'm pretty sure you are a generator along with Kent. You guys are meant to, when you find something that you love and it lights you up, you can do it and do it and do it and just go. Like, you're like so laser focused on it that you almost have to finish doing this one thing before you can break away and go to something else.
Yeah, I always thought it was because I have ADHD.
Right.
Which it might also might add to it.
You're right.
But I'm a procrastinator, one.
Uh-huh.
But I also, like, if I have to do something, I feel like I need to just do it and get it done.
And that's a generator quality. Kent is the same way. If there's something on his to-do list, my God, he wants to knock it off right that second. Where I am like, I'll get to that when I get to it. And it may be weeks later. Like this, I went to the chiropractor this morning. I had been talking about it for weeks. And he's like, are you kidding me already? Like, make the freaking appointment. Drives me crazy that he's like that.
Which I think I do both. But most of the time I will stress about it. Like, I want to get it done then. But I feel like my ADHD is like, just procrastinate. But then I'll still stress about it. I may not do it, but I'll still stress about it.
I need to look at your chart again because if you have a defined root center, that is the reason that you, one, do procrastinate, and two, that when you procrastinate, that you still get things done and you do them very well.
Oh, I do my best work when I procrastinate.
So I would be shocked if you don't have a defined root center, because I'm the same way. And that actually, that whole center is a pressure to perform, a pressure to get things done. And that pressure it's like when it's time, it kicks in. It's like, okay, it's go time. Let's go. Let's get it done. But you can push it and push it and push it. Whereas Lauren, she's just like Kent in that regard of, I have a list and this list has to get done right this second.
Yeah.
And Kent, really, I've noticed in his recently, he cannot multitask. He is not a multitasker. Where I just thought, okay, that's just me. I'm a mom. Like most moms typically can multitask, and I can be answering a text. I can be listening to a podcast. I can hear Lincoln ringing the doorbell and let him out, and have dinner cooking all at the same time. He would go bananas. He has to literally, when a text comes in, he has to respond to it right that second. And Lincoln will be banging on that freaking doorbell downstairs to go out. And I'm like, open the freaking door. Like, are you kidding me? You can't respond to a text and go open the door for the dog to go out at the same time. And he's like, no, I have to actually finish this text before I can do anything else. And it drives me bonkers. But I'm like, that's actually his human design.
Yeah, I get very overstimulated. Like, if I'm like talking in the car, have to turn the music down. I cannot concentrate to hear you. Or Jackson, he will be this overstimulates me more than anything. He'll be watching football or basketball and have the TV full blast. And then he'll be on the phone with his dad. And they're both talking to each other, both loud. Or he'll have them on speakerphone so I can then hear Jackson talking the TV and his dad. And I'm like, first of all, how does he even hear you over this TV? Second of all, turn one of them off. Like,
that's funny.
It's too much. I have to put in my AirPods on Saturdays or game days or whatever.
That's very interesting, because that's very likely one of your just kind of the ways that you're designed. So it's very,
which I always blame it on my ADHD, but I don't really know that I'm ADHD.
I really
self-diagnose.
Well, I do. Well, yeah, and a lot of people do self-diagnose, and I wonder about that. I do wonder. I kind of wonder how that plays into some of that stuff, because the person that I follow and I'm kind of learning from, she definitely talks a little bit about like anxiety and stress in relation to that. But so I'm curious to look into some of that stuff, because a lot of my friends they're all very anxious, stressful. They consider it anxiety and stress. Where the way that they tell me their mind works is just exhausting to me. My brain does not work in the manner of, I see this and I then think about the 5 ways that this is going to go wrong. And then
see,
I need a plan for all 5 ways of how it's going to go wrong and how I'm going to handle it when it does go wrong. My mind just doesn't go there.
That's my mom. She and Jackson, honestly, I think
Yeah.
they're very much what if kind of people. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if this happens? And I'm very much a, what if it goes right? This is what's going to happen.
Right.
But I also used to have really bad anxiety, and I was like on medication for it, and the medication didn't help at all. Mm-hmm. And I think once I finally stopped telling myself that I had anxiety, I think one day, I don't know, I'm sure it was God just telling me, like, you don't have anxiety. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, I finally stopped telling myself that I had anxiety, and I was like, oh, I don't feel as anxious anymore.
I resonate with that with so much. And I think that is, I do think there is a portion of our society that likes the fact of that they have a diagnosis, or they can relate. That's how they relate to other people, is around that piece of it. So it's very interesting to me, because you told me this not long ago, that whole story. And I think that's very interesting, because I think that your mind is so powerful.
It's very, like, nonchalant, too. People are just like, oh, yeah, I have anxiety. But anxiety is not nonchalant.
Right.
Like, I was having anxiety attacks, and my mom would be like, why are you acting like this? And I'm like, I don't know. And I finally just stopped telling myself that I had anxiety and would pray about it, and here I am without it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I get stressed. Like, I'll get stressed when I have all my
Everybody
jobs
gets
going
stressed
on
at some
stuff,
point in time. Correct. But I think that goes right into the whole, what you think about multiplies. I mean, we taught that at Geico, like what the number you focus on grows. And as long as you're focusing on this number, that's what's going to grow. And it's the exact same thing, whether you're talking about positive thoughts or negative thoughts. When you're constantly talking about negative stuff, you are going to keep seeing the negative things.
Right. Yeah. I recently heard this TikTok about someone talking about in the Bible where it talks about the things that you say are very powerful, like your tongue is very powerful.
Yeah.
And saying, like, I am stressed, I am is really a term.
I am is so powerful.
It's God.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about that, he's like, oh, that's what you want to come true. Okay, well, I'll make that come true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've been really big on lately, just like trying to say all the positive stuff. And I'll say stuff sometimes that I'm like, oh, wait, no. Forget that. You didn't hear that.
And I think it's important to say that just because you say something out loud or you think something is not necessarily meaning you're manifesting it or you're bringing that into reality. But when it is a thought or process or things that you are saying out loud all the time, over and over and over, your brain, it's neuroscience. It's actually I have a journal that somebody gave me, and it's the 369 method, and it talks all in there about this neuroscience and these neuro pathways that you can literally change in your brain of your thought patterns and the path that they take in your brain. You can change it by changing what you're saying to yourself and what you're writing down and what you're thinking about. And so it's very the brain is so powerful, and I'm totally geeking out all this, and my listeners are probably like, what in the hell is going on? We thought we were getting an argument, like what in the hell is going on right now? So I thought you are you have a journey, I feel like, that you have been through, and you are talking about it on your TikToks. So I was gonna see if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that or share anything.
It's
because
a long journey.
That's fine. You can make it, you can shorten it or tell, what parts that you want to tell. But I feel like for kids and for girls your age, even for women my age, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, I'm trying to do better about being on social media because I think I started my YouTube channel maybe at this time, like 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
At this point. And I started posting a few videos, and I actually got like 500 views on my first video, and I should have kept doing it from there because I can't even imagine where I'd be now.
Right.
But I think it's something God's placed on my heart because I can't let it go. It's something that I'm like, I always come back to.
Yeah.
And I need to do better about it. But, yeah, I want to help, especially young girls, because when I was in high school, it's so weird because I never looked at my body and thought, like, oh, you're fat. Like, I always thought I looked great. I was never, like, super skinny, but I was always very athletic. I ate terrible because my poor parents didn't know any better.
Everybody did, yeah.
At that point, like, all this health stuff was not
I still eat terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of people who do this. I don't feel bad.
My popcorn I had for dinner last night.
I get on to Jackson all the time. I'm like, don't eat this.
Yeah.
Don't eat this. It's going to cause you cancer.
Oh, geez. He did tell me that. He's like, oh, my God. She's coming up with something every single day that we're not allowed to eat any longer.
Well, I see it on TikTok, and I'm like, I got to tell him. I'm like, it will make me feel better if I at least just warn you.
Yes.
But I vividly remember, I think it was over, like, Christmas break, my junior year of high school. I got sick, and I wasn't really eating, so I lost weight. And I don't think I had ever, like, not ate for a few days.
Yeah.
I mean, even when we were sick, my parents, when I was a kid, they were like, food will make you feel better. Which, not in a bad way. They were just like, you need to eat something. And I realized that I was, like, losing some weight, and I was like, oh, well, this is kind of nice. And then it just started there, and I constantly would weigh myself. I got to the point to where I was like, then I was probably 5'6". I'm like 5'8" now, but I got down to like 110 pounds, which was,
oh, wow.
I'm very long legs, long arms, so
that's tiny
for
you,
someone like me. And people noticed. My parents didn't really notice because they were around me constantly.
Right.
And people would say stuff to my mom sometimes, and she was like, I don't even really notice. And then my friends would say stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm fine. Like, why are you so worried about me? But in the back of my head, I'm like, knowing that I was constantly worried about what I looked like or what I weighed. Like, if I got on the scale in the morning and it was 111 instead of 110, I'd be like, Google how to lose a pound in a day.
Really?
Yeah, like, it's so crazy because I feel like it falls into the addiction category. Because it's like, just your brain is crazy.
Yeah. And did you quit? You were just like not eating, or?
I think. Well, I started working out too. My senior year of high school, I only did football cheer, so of course I wasn't as active with that. And I stopped eating as much. And then I was also, like, working out, and I ran a lot. So I think I had a good bit of muscle before. So I think the running really took a lot of my muscle off. So I was, like, super, super thin.
Yeah.
And my parents probably still just thought, well, she's exercising,
right.
you know. And it wasn't like I completely stopped eating, but I definitely wasn't eating as much as I would. Like, if I knew, I remember my senior year of prom, I pretty much didn't eat that whole morning or afternoon because I knew that I had to wear my dress.
Right.
And I didn't want to look fat in my dress.
Knowing good and well, you would have never looked fat ever.
I'm like, I look back on that and I'm like, I cannot believe I even thought for a second like I was fat when I was that tiny. So then it just eventually I kind of like yo-yoed. I don't know if you like hear about yo-yo dieting where people like lose weight then gain weight. I stayed thin for a while, but then my parents were like, this is not okay. Like, and even I would go to the doctor sometime and they would be like, you need to make sure you're eating enough. You've lost a good bit of weight. Oh, I forgot about this part. I don't even know if Jackson knows about this. He might know. But this was after high school. I was using laxatives to.
Really?
Yeah, to like poop.
Yeah.
So that I would get all the food out of me. And I don't know if it started. I think it probably started because I was constipated. And I was probably because I wasn't eating enough, wasn't eating enough fiber, all that. And then I think I probably realized, like, oh, well, this makes me feel better when I poop everything out, and then I feel skinnier.
Right.
Did that for a little while, and I think my parents actually found out. So then I stopped doing that, and I started gaining some weight back, which was good. I needed that, and I actually looked healthy. Then I just didn't really know enough to know how to eat. I mean, I ate healthy, I guess we could say, and then I would just go back and forth with my weight. Like, I feel like every summer, even now, every summer I've looked completely different from when I started 10 years ago, because I just don't know how to maintain anything. I either would gain weight or be like, oh my gosh, I've gained too much weight, then lose weight, and just kind of go back and forth. Well, I would eat I tried to eat healthy. At that point, society was like, eat all these protein bars, eat all these non-sugar, like, foods that had all this
all the preservatives and all the stuff in there. Yeah.
So then I think that really messed up my gut and messed up my stomach, which I had, like, some issues to where every time I ate, I would feel so bloated and gassy, and still every now and then would have trouble going to the bathroom, or it would be the completely opposite. So then I got, like, some blood work done, talked to a holistic nurse practitioner, and I do have a sensitivity to gluten, which I had already, like, not been eating gluten for a little while, because I think that was, like, kind of a trend, like, people were like, cut out gluten.
Yeah.
So anytime I was eating gluten, it was messing up my stomach, so I don't eat gluten. I wish I could.
Gluten is, like, in everything, basically.
Yeah, but I say I wish I could, but realistically, I mean, I've been doing it for so long, so it doesn't even faze me. And when people ask me about it, I'm like,
I don't think you have taste buds.
Probably not.
When I met you, I recall sitting down at the table, and, like, we would have been eating, like, let's say we went to Chick-fil-A or something, and you would be going at that salad with zero dressing. And I'm like telling Kim, I'm like, this chick is eating salad with no dress. It is dry salad. It is just lettuce.
Yeah, I think I definitely have messed up my taste buds. At this point, I'm like,
she doesn't care. She's like,
it tastes good to me, so that's all that matters. Like, one year, Kit cooked me some chicken, and I don't think he even put seasoning on it. And I was like, that's okay, that'll be fine. It's fine. No biggie. It's food. I don't, like, live to eat. I eat to live.
Which is how that's how we all should be.
Yeah.
We should all.
To an extent.
Yeah. But you're now on a journey of trying to get back to, like, an even keel and, like, what is healthy, what's right for your body, what's healthy, what's maintainable, and you're sharing it, right?
Yeah.
You've been sharing, like, what you're eating throughout the day, and even recipes with people, and then your workouts as well, right? Have you been is all that on YouTube, or is it just on TikTok, or is that a mix? I'm
trying to do YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Okay.
So that I can kind of spread the word to everyone. It's hard. I'm very bad about staying motivated unless I have to. Like, with my balloon business, like, I don't have a choice. Like, I have to get these jobs done that are booked. So I was just telling myself this morning, I need to, like, I have a few YouTube videos actually filmed. But I need an adapter for my computer that I just need to go to Walmart 5 minutes down the road and get, so that I can plug a USB in, because it's too big to import on or export on my computer. Haven't done it yet. So,
okay. So I need to take you to Walmart when I take you home.
Yeah. But, yeah. And I'm still working on everything. I had an eating disorder, and I think an eating disorder doesn't ever go away. I think it's always something, just like an addiction.
Yeah.
alcohol or something. It doesn't ever go away. It's something that's always going to be a part of you, but you have to choose not to like give in to those temptations. But I also think that I overdid it so much. I would undereat and over-exercise, and now I have caused, like, so much stress on my body, and I had, like, a lot of inflammation. I wish I could just, like, put pictures from each year in here, like, show you different pictures of everything, because it's so crazy.
Have you done that TikTok? You should make a TikTok of that. You should do a TikTok, just a time lapse, like, and show all of those pictures as you do, and do a voiceover of that, because that would be really powerful too.
Yeah, I need to do that. But now I'm just working on actually, because I've had the mentality for so long that I just need to be skinny, and that not eating enough, I guess, will cause that or help me just stay. Right. But I think it actually did the opposite. They say a lot of times when you're under-fueling your body, over-exercising, and then maybe, like, not sleeping enough, or all these external stresses that are caused on your body can actually just cause you to retain fluids and hold on to, like, store fat in your body. Right. So I'm continuing to work on increasing my calories and working out harder in the gym to gain muscle, because muscle is so important for your body in general.
It really is. And I can tell you, at my age, you need that, which I need to start looking at your videos and trying to follow them, because I feel like an idiot when I go to the gym. Like, I'm smart. I mean, it's not like I've never worked out before in my life. I know how to use the equipment, but it's still somewhat intimidating.
It is. It's really hard. And I try to tell my mom does a class at the gym, and it's like a very high intensity class.
That is a hard class.
And I really wish she wouldn't. It's great for her. It's just very, very high intensity for someone her age. And I think it's been great for her. But I wish she would maybe focus more on, like, strength training. And I think she would see a lot more improvement. But I really actually want to try to get my, like, personal training.
I think you and Jackson.
Certification.
You and Jackson 100 should both do that.
I tried to tell Jackson that, but he won't listen to me.
Well, he has said he has been interested a little bit in that.
He told me that, and then when I said, you should, well, I told him he should start TikTok.
Yes, he was like, I'm not going to film myself in the gym.
You literally have Devin right there.
Right.
To film for you. No one, I was really scared of it too, and it's still sometimes, but now I'm just like, whatever. I just put my phone down on the ground and prop it up against something.
I saw a chick carrying a whole tripod with her one day.
There's an influencer that goes to Max, and I always wondered, and I found her on TikTok. She was on my For You page the other day, and I was like, I knew she was an influencer. Yeah, so it's like people really don't care. I mean, I see these people with tripods, and I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
And if they care, who cares?
No, nobody cares.
Yeah.
So what, so do you feel like you are making an impact? Do you have girls, even guys, people out there following you, responding and saying, this is so helpful, or things like that?
Not yet.
I feel like you do. I feel like on your TikToks, I see people saying stuff.
Actually, this girl that I met, this actually inspired me a lot. Because this girl I met at the young adults church that I was going to, she slid up on, like, my Instagram story and was like, I think I posted a video about, like, all this healthy food in a fridge, and it said something about, like, my kids are going to hate to see me coming one day.
Yes, I think I saw that.
And she commented and was like, I think we're the same person. She was like, I love all the videos and stuff that you've been posting lately. It's really been inspiring to me. Yeah. Continue to do it. And I was like, wait, these people are actually seeing this stuff?
People are seeing it. Not many people will actually comment on any of it, but I'm telling you, so many people are seeing it. Yeah. And eventually it will take off, and you'll be able to see people actually interact with you, but I promise you that they are seeing it 100%. So I think it's really great what you're doing.
I know it's not a lot, but on YouTube I have 100 subscribers.
That's a big deal. I think we have like 29.
Yeah.
So
I've been posting. really just been posting shorts every now and then.
And that's fine. I think that's...
I didn't even know you could do that and get followers.
Yeah.
But I recently found that.
Yeah,
You might have told me that.
I don't, who knows? I try to post this once a week, and I usually post one short. They say you should maybe do one a day, but as far as shorts go, but like the YouTube videos, like honestly, just depending on what your niche is, you don't have to do that many.
On social media, I also want to be very authentic and real. I feel like there's so many people out there that are very fake about things, and I think it's, as someone who has watched influencers for so long, I think it's important to show the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do that, but it's really hard, like, to just...
It's very intimidating to do it.
People are mean.
Yeah.
And people are the meanest on Instagram.
They are really mean. Instagram
people are mean.
Listen, the one TikTok that he put it on his page and it blew up, or maybe I put it on mine. Anyway, whatever. It's almost 1 million views. And, anyway, it doesn't matter. It was on mine. And people, it was in the morning. I happened to do it. It literally took 5 minutes to do this TikTok. It was so simple. But we were just running an errand in the morning. I stuck a hat on my head, like no makeup. Hair wasn't even brushed. Yeah. Big old puffer vest on. And people were talking about, I look like a man. Yeah. What? Absolutely. Those comments, I was like...
I just don't understand. Like, I'm like, why are people so miserable with themselves? Why don't you just scroll?
And you know what's so crazy
is like
scroll. I look at that video, like I look at myself, like my hair, when you get older, your hair is thinning. And you lose like the puffiness, like your lips literally will just go under. Mine is doing that. And like, I'm not happy with how my face looks, and I see that. Like, if I'm not at a certain angle, if I'm at a certain angle, I'm like, I fucking look like a man. And it's like, how do they pick up on those insecurities that you have in yourself?
I truly think
absolutely can.
They're just so miserable with themselves.
They really
there's a fitness influencer that I love. Like, I have been following her for so long, and she just seems like the most genuine person. I don't know if you've ever heard of Whitney Simmons. But she's huge. She's like one of the biggest in the fitness industry. And she almost committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
Because of the things that people were saying about her. She was
crazy.
Very depressed for a long time. And she talked about on a podcast how she dropped her boyfriend. It might have been her husband or her fiance at this point. But she dropped him off at the airport. And she thought to herself, what if I just run into this wall right now? Like...
That's so crazy.
And I'm like, what?
You think people have you think they have it all. Nobody is immune to that. So I think it's definitely, I applaud you for sharing, that stuff on social media. But the flip side is you do have to protect yourself and be very careful.
Yeah. And see, I'm the kind of person who, I'm very much a people pleaser. Yeah. So I know that if in the future I do like end up growing in that's something I'm gonna have to work on.
You have to really make sure you're in some therapy. And
Jackson helps a lot because he's like, who gives a crap?
Yeah,
he just doesn't care about what people say or think. And I'm like, but it's like hard not to, even with that TikTok of mine that went viral, with, I think we were in the mall.
It wasn't even about you weren't even in it.
Yeah, we were in the mall, and this group of church people, I don't really know how to explain.
It was a choir or something, wasn't it?
They weren't a choir. They were just, it looked like a church group from a church came and started singing a praise and worship song in the mall. Yeah. And I like filmed it and it went viral. I think it had like,
it was a lot.
3 million views. And even Jelly Roll commented on it and was like,
that's insane.
He said they should go feed food kitchens or go to the food kitchens or feed the homeless or something like that instead of doing this in a church. I'm like, well, how do you know that they aren't?
Right.
Like, why can't you just why are you being so negative about it? And it wasn't even about me. And I was like getting so defensive. I was like, I can't imagine what I'll be if people say stuff about me, but I just won't have to. I just can't read the comments.
No, you'll have to turn the comments off for yourself and not look at that. To
they
protect
can comment.
your mental.
They can comment because then that helps the views.
You're a people pleaser somewhat, but you also you gonna fight somebody.
Yeah.
She gonna fight somebody.
That's where my mom comes in.
Yeah, you probably do get that from your mom. So I wanted to ask you just a couple of fun questions because we have actually been going at this an hour. I don't know if you feel like it's been an hour yet or not. But I was going to ask you about, we're going to talk about toxic traits. Do you recognize or think I have a toxic trait? And then I was going to tell you about a toxic trait I think you have.
What?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, you
want
go
me
first.
to do mine first? So this is your toxic trait. Your toxic trait is you don't respond to text messages. Like either ever or maybe days later.
Yeah, that's definitely my toxic trait. I didn't used to be like that, and I think it's with my business. I have so much coming through my phone constantly. My brain can't wrap its mind around it. I don't know. I just can't.
Yeah, I know. You need a better system.
And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to text these people back.
Well, so tell people about your business just in case they don't know. I mean, I do try to share it pretty frequently, but just in case, please tell everybody what your business is.
Do I look at the camera and tell them?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I have a, I guess, party decor / inflatables business now because I now do bounce houses, but I do balloon decor and for baby showers, parties, weddings.
What's the name of the business?
Golden Days Balloons, I guess I should
Golden
say
Days Balloons, and you do, so she does all the balloon garlands. Like, if you need any type of balloon work done, Ashley is the one to go to. She also does all the backdrops. Mm-hmm. You have, you make all of those also. It's not just like a one and done. You pretty much do anything that anybody needs. And now you're adding in the bounce houses. You have the all white bounce houses. Yeah. How many do you have?
5.
Whoa. Plus you have the bubble house, which is it looks like a big snow globe that circulates the balloons around in it. So basically anything that you need in the surrounding Warner Robins area, Macon, wherever you're at, she's the go-to person, and she stays freaking slam packed with that. Yes. In addition to doing your regular job. Yeah. Which is insane. Make sure you guys follow Ashley. She's on Instagram. She's on YouTube. She's Ashley Theus. Are you Ashley Theus on Instagram? What are you on Instagram?
Ashley and Theus.
Okay. And then it's Golden Days.
Golden Days Balloons.
On Facebook.
And
on Instagram. And then you can always get in contact with her through Golden Days or personally as well. But she doesn't text the best. I'm just going to be honest. Don't or at least not with me. It could just be me. I'm not going to take it personally. It could just be me, but I'm not going to take that personal.
No, I'm sure Lauren over there could say.
One other last question that I thought might be funny.
Well, I didn't tell you your toxic
Oh, okay.
trait.
Well, have you thought of one?
I don't think you have one.
Oh, I do have. I definitely have some.
No, I really don't think you have a toxic trait.
I definitely have a toxic trait. We know I definitely have toxic eating patterns, and I have given Jackson
toxic trait,
those up. So I thought I would ask you this question that I thought would be funny. Do you think that I could have done something better in raising Jackson? Like, is there as him being an adult male, is there something that you wish his mother would have taught him to do that he doesn't know how to do? No?
My parents can attest to this because they absolutely adore him and love him. But everyone that meets Jackson, I feel like, is he is such a gentleman. He was raised great. I think you did the best job with him. Because we started dating when he was 19?
Maybe.
I mean, he was so mature already. I mean, he has his moments when he's on the video games.
Yes. We don't want to go there. Yes.
Okay. But
that's his toxic trait. If he can ever get away from the actual video games, yeah,
too.
that's annoying.
But I know he has fun doing that and spending time with his friends, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But he's very respectful.
I was really thinking, like, you know, when he moved in with you, he was cooking his own food. Mm-hmm. He is doing his own laundry. Now he probably didn't clean that well. I did what I could do with that piece of it. Job. But so I'm wondering, does he still cook for himself? Does he still do his own laundry? Like, he's not been like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
He doesn't. It's not that he doesn't know how to.
Okay, I see that face. So he's trying. He's pulling that card a little bit.
No, he just gets lazy about his laundry sometimes. But I do too. I'm very bad about waiting until it's like completely full and then putting everything in there, and then you dry it, and then it just sits in the laundry basket.
Okay. So, is that why y'all's washer is making that? I feel like y'all's washer is really loud. It makes a strange noise. Like, it's like, I'm like, should it be that loud? I asked him that the other day. I was over the other day. I'm like, is your washer supposed to sound like that? He's like, that's how it always sounds. Okay.
Good question. I don't know, but I probably had a ton of stuff in there or something. But no, I mean, other than him not folding his laundry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did what I tried.
Which I'm bad about folding it too. So
most people are. It's a hard thing, right, Lauren?
Mm-hmm. Laundry is the worst. It sucks. That's the worst part about being an adult.
Taxes are also
that and
a
figuring
bad
out
thing.
what you want for dinner.
Yes, facts.
I'm like, Jackson, what do you want for dinner? He's like, I don't know. What do you want?
I don't care.
Like, I don't know.
I don't care. I'm not craving anything. Well, do you want this? Oh no, that's disgusting. Yes.
But Jackson luckily doesn't do that. He's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. No, you two. That's great. You guys are doing fantastic. I'm very proud of both of you. You're both hustling and out there doing your own thing business wise. So I think that's fantastic. It's very difficult to do that and be successful, and so I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I appreciate you coming here and filling in for Kent. He was a little worried. He was like, hey, don't
want me every week.
That's right. He's like, don't be trying to take my job, Ashley. So I don't know, Kent, we'll have to see. Yeah. We'll get some feedback and see how she did. So I appreciate you coming to do this. So I'm going to take you home now, back to the doggies.
Oh, yeah, because I don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, because yeah. Oh, that's another story. I'll tell that later.
Too much.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.